Welcome everyone to this new video on the channel. Today this will be a guide covering all of the entities that can be found in doors. I will be covering the hotel, the back door, and the rooms. Now I just want to say thank you all so much for 300 subscribers. This is the 300 sub special. And I hope that you will find this a very enjoyable video. For those of you who are not subscribed, go ahead, why not after all. I don't post too often, I'm not going to spam you with random videos. If you like game analysis, guides, and lists, and things like that, then you're going to enjoy this channel very much. I've got quite a few of those, and I've got more planned. Now, just generally speaking, this list is in order of what I believe the entities are in terms of danger to the player overall. And with that, let's get started. Now, first up, we have Jack. Jack is very low overall in terms of how much danger they present to the player. They appear very, very rarely, and they can only appear in the hotel. They appear inside of any closet or door. Jack will jump scare the player, and in the case of a closet, prevent them from entering temporarily. Jack does not do damage, and he's very easy to spot because he causes a red hue about the lighting around him. Now, he can't kill the player directly. The only danger he presents is if he stops you from hiding from rush or ambush, and this can be prevented by not going to the next room when you hear rush or ambush spawn. Rather, find a hiding spot within the room you're in, and Jack will never ever get you. If you have to go to the next room, there's still a very, very low chance of Jack appearing, so overall, I'd say probably the least dangerous entity. Next we have Dread. Now Dread, also very low danger, very low frequency in this case. He has to be found intentionally, more or less. He can only appear in door 13 of the hotel. Now, that also requires that at least 1 hour has passed since the start of the run. Dread will spawn and will slowly chase the players and will kill them on contact. So while, yes, Dread is lethal, first of all, you need to more or less intentionally go for him. He will never be a threat in a normal run. He's obvious in that the room will flash white and noises will fade when Dread is near. And he's really easy to survive, just go into the next room. The only case where this could be a problem is if room 13 is a locked room, in which case you're going to have a bad time. Next up we have Timothy, everyone's favorite little spider boy. Now also very low in terms of danger, although unlike Dread or Jack, he appears at least semi-frequently. In most runs you'll find him at least once, although not always. He appears in the hotel inside of any drawer, and he will jump scare the player upon the player opening his drawer, which will deal slight damage. He has no warning signs, there's no way to tell if he's in a drawer, and he does minimal damage overall, enough to be healed by a single bandage. Also, he can't actually kill the player, instead setting the player to 1 HP. Which might be a problem, but if you're at that low HP already, then you've got other problems to deal with. Now we have danger level low instead of very low with the Void. So he can be prevented from spawning entirely, and it only spawns in multiplayer. And what Void does is if a player is 4 or 5 rooms behind the last opens door and the room unloads, Void will do a random amount of damage to the player, although not a severe amount, and teleport the player to the rest of the group. Now Void has no warning signs beyond being behind, and the best way to avoid him is to stick with the group. You don't have to loot every single drawer if it means falling behind. If you're in single player, feel free, no threat of Void there. Next up, Eyes, the first entity here that could pose a substantial threat in single player. So low overall danger level, but they appear relatively frequently, spawning multiple times throughout our run usually, especially after door 90 if you get that far. You can spawn in the hotel from any door between 2 and 99. And eyes will appear at a random location in the room, dealing damage over time quite rapidly if a player looks at them. You can look out for him by listening for whispering sounds and or blue and purple glows within your room or the next. Now, to survive eyes, looking down will immediately mean eyes cannot hurt you. Might make navigating the room a little tougher, but the more substantial threat is that eyes' noise and you forcing to look down could cover up rush, ambush, or dupe. So, eyes works more as an enabler for other entities to be a danger, rather than being a danger in their own right. Next we have hide, who starts at roughly low danger level, but increases quite substantially as the run continues. They appear very, very frequently. In the hotel, they appear in all hiding spaces except for doors 50 and 100. So hide will kick the player out of a hiding spot after a given amount of time, which will deal moderate damage and prevent the player from re-entering their hiding space. Hide is not subtle. Your screen will be covered in black and red tendrils and the phrase "get out" will appear. So if you exit before getting kicked out and then re-enter, hide is reset. But the reason that I've put the danger level as varying is because the amount of time it takes for him to kick you out will start at about 20-25 seconds early in the run. But by the time you're beyond door 90, it's down to about 5 seconds, so you have to be much more precise, and hide becomes much more of a threat in its own right. Alright, so next we move on to Screech. This annoying little bugger appears very frequently in any room that is dark. He has an overall low danger level though, because he will always make a psst sound in order to alert the player as to his presence. Additionally, when he spawns, Screech will cause the player's screen to shake slightly, which is very noticeable when standing still, although less so when you're moving around. If you hear the psst sound, look around for Screech and stare at him. Typically, Screech spawns behind and usually above the player. Also, using any sort of light will cause Screech's chance to spawn to decrease substantially. So lighters, flashlight, the shake light if you manage to go to the rooms and back out. They will all significantly reduce the chance of him spawning. And even if you don't catch him, he doesn't do a lot of damage. It's still substantial, but not enough to be a major threat without some other source of damage. Next up we have Snare, the first one I consider to have like a moderate level of danger. Now Snare is very, very common in the hotel, although only beyond room 90. So he appears right up until room 100. Snare will attack any player that steps on it, dealing light to moderate damage and keeping the player stuck for a few seconds. While this can't kill, such as like Timothy, it can leave the player vulnerable to attacks by Screech or Rush or even Eyes, right? Now there are some warning signs for him, because he can be seen on the ground. However, the greenhouse, which is where he's always found, is very dark. So bringing any sort of light source is very useful, and oftentimes pay attention because there can be more than one in a single room. Next we have Seek, who I consider a moderate level of danger. He'll typically attack twice in a regular run of doors, once before and once after room 50, and he can't appear before 26. When he attacks, Seek will appear behind the player and chase him for about 6 rooms, forcing the player to rapidly search for correct doors and crawl spaces, guided by guiding lights. Now, it is very easy to tell when Seek is approaching, or where his room is approaching, because there will be flickering lights, eyes on the walls which you really can't miss, and this will last for about 2 to 4 rooms before the chase. Now to survive, just run, and use the assistance from guiding light to progress easily. When you reach a roundabout room, look both ways quickly, and if neither is correct, it's at the far end of the room. Next we have Rush, the probably most recognizable entity indoors, and the noob killer. So he's a moderate difficulty, or danger I'd say. He appears frequently, especially after room 90. He can appear in the entire hotel except for doors 1, 50, 89, 93, 98, 99, and 100. The last 3 I imagine are to stop him accidentally charging into the electrical room. Rush will spawn a couple rooms back and then charge through all the rooms until he gets to an unopened door. He will kill any player that isn't hiding and break all the lights. Now he's easy to tell when he's coming because he will cause the lights to flicker. He's very loud roaring noises, and he causes light shaking. Now, as frequent as he is, he's easy enough to avoid. When he approaches, hide inside a closet or underneath a bed, and if none are available, hide out of Rush's line of sight will also work, such as by hiding in a corner within some of the larger rooms or hiding in side rooms for rooms that branch. Next we have Blitz. Now, Blitz spawns in the back door in all rooms beyond the starting room. Blitz spawns a few rooms behind, charging through similarly to Rush. However, Blitz can rebound and wait in front of the player's hiding spots to stall. He causes a lot of the same warnings as Rush, and he has the same way to avoid him. However, wait for him to fully go away because of his rebound. Additionally, you can hide as long as you want, because hide doesn't exist in the back door, but you're not going to want to because of an entity later in the list. Next we have the Lookman, another backdoor entity. Moderate level of difficulty, appears in any room beyond the first, and he functions somewhat like a more dangerous version of Eyes. He also damages players that looks at him, but does one burst of damage instead of constant. He's harder to spot because he's rather faded, and only his glowing red eyes are easy to see. He doesn't produce much noise, unlike the eyes as well. So looking down throughout the majority of the back door is the easiest way to avoid him, but it's going to mean you miss some levers, so kind of a trade-off. He'll kill you if you look at him 5 times, so gotta be careful. Next we have Halt. Moderate damage, frequency quite low, usually only spawns like once a run at most. He can appear from any door from 4 to 89, and he will teleport the player into a long hallway, causing them to be chased from behind by Halt. Halt will randomly teleport in front of the player and cause text to appear on the player's screen saying either run away or turn around. Now for warnings, he causes the lights to flash for an especially long time compared to Rush or Ambush, usually about 3 or 4 seconds. So it's easy to tell him out that way. Now to survive, pay attention. When the screen says turn around, do exactly as it says and turn around. The chase will get a little bit faster over time, so your reaction times need to be on point. But in general, Halt will push you towards the end of the hallway, and when you reach the end of the hallway, you get out. And you can actually go back and loot the room, by the way. That's a thing you can do. Next we have Dupe, this guy. So he's moderate in both danger and frequency. He can appear in the hotel in any door from 2 to 89. He doesn't appear in the greenhouse. He will pretend to hide behind a fake door, attacking players that open it. Dupe will also scribble out the door number on the previous door so you can't check. So he is easy to spot because you'll notice 2 doors with 2 different numbers on them. And note that there can be more than 1 dupe in a single room. I've seen a dozen in one case. That was a really weird run. So to survive, the easiest way to deal with dupe is to just remember the number as you go through, or read the number on the door as you enter every room. If you forget, you can hear dupes whispering behind a fake door if you listen to the wall next to it. But note that a candle will not indicate dupe's presence. Next we have Ambush. Again, a very recognizable entity. He appears relatively infrequently, although dramatically more beyond room 50. So he appears in the hotel, all doors from 2 to 88 except for in the library. Ambush has a chance to replace Rush when Rush spawns, but the chance increasing as you go further, which is why it mostly appears after 50. Ambush will go back and forth up to from 2 to 4 times, forcing you to hop in and out of your hiding spot several times to avoid getting kicked out by Hide. Like Rush, Ambush breaks all the lights in the room, and also know that Ambush is substantially faster than Rush. He has a lot of the same warning signs, although he's a rather high-pitched screeching noise compared to Rush. Now to survive, when Ambush approaches, hide like you would for Rush, but after Ambush passes, hop out and then wait for him to come back and then hop in before he arrives, and then repeat until Ambush is completely gone and all noises from him are gone. Right? A little bit more complicated, but that's why he has such a high danger level compared to everything previous. A60, our first rooms entity here. It appears mostly after the room A60, as the name would suggest. Thank you, Curious Light, for that one. He can appear in any room, even before A60. And he will act kind of like Blitz, appearing back and then charging through, stopping at the next unopened door. However, he is much faster than Rush or Blitz. And he also has a very distinct sound cue. It's kind of like a loud screeching. And it's easy to tell when he's coming because he glows a bright red. Well, because he's so quick, if you see that bright red light, you're probably dead. So when you hear A60, just hide in the nearest closet and wait, because there's no hide in the rooms. You can hide and just wait until A60's gone. Alright? Now, make sure you're paying attention to where lockers are at all times, because the rooms get very, very dark when you get close to the end. And in that case, if A60 catches you off guard and you don't know where a locker is, you're basically dead. Next we have Figure. Moderate frequency will always appear twice in doors 50 and 100. Figure will attempt to track the player by sound and vibration while the player searches for whatever they have to in the given room. If he catches the player will be immediately killed. Now, Figure is easy to tell where he is because he creates a lot of sound just by the noises it makes and when he walks. It's also directional, I think, so you can track him that way, even like through bookcases or whatever. Now, to survive him, avoid him at all costs. Don't get near, he can sense your heartbeat. If he backs you into a corner, hide in a closet, and if you're sneaking, he can't hear you. So when you're in 50 and 100, I recommend sneaking unless he gets very close, in which case just book it to the nearest closet and hide. The first very high danger level, we have Haste. This is why I said that you might not want to hide for so long for Blitz, because the reason you have a timer in the back door is because when the timer hits 0, this guy shows up. He can appear several times in a run in the back door, and he can appear in any room beyond the start. Haste will be an insta-kill on contact, and the warning sign for him is pretty obvious in that you're running out of time and the lighting starts turning red, especially when you reach 0 time left. The only way to get him to go away is to add time by pulling a lever somewhere. Otherwise, all you can do is run, and Haste can go through walls, so he's going to catch you, especially if you hit a locked room, you're basically immediately dead. So, Haste is the big reason why the back door can be difficult. Next is A90, who appears after room A90. Again, thank you, Curious Light. Now, he can appear in any room, earlier than A90 as well, such as like A60 can. He will appear on the player's screen, giving the player about a second or so to just stop all inputs, don't even look around. If the player moves while he's there, after this 1 second grace period, A90 will jump scare the player, and if the player is injured at all, probably dead. If not, very severe damage. A90 appears on the screen as a warning, but only briefly before attacking, so your reaction time needs to be very good. To survive him, as I've said, stop moving, just don't move at all. Now, if A90 appears at the same time as A60, A60 is slowed down so that it's not a problem. However, it's not the case for A120, whom I personally believe to be the most dangerous entity to deal with in all of Roblox Doors. He appears mostly after A120, as the name would suggest, but he can appear earlier. When he does, it's usually terrifying. He'll appear in the room ahead of you instead of behind. He will charge through and kill players that he catches. Like Ambush, he can rebound. He's very, very quiet compared to A60. And his only warning is either A, the inability to access the next room, or B, metallic thumping noises, although it's not particularly loud. So what you need to do is find a locker and hide. Because hide doesn't exist, you can just wait there until he's done his rebound if he decides to do it. But again, his sound cue is very slow compared to A60, and A90 will not slow down A120, meaning that A90 and A120 is a very, very, very dangerous combo, which can easily end runs. Last thing I want to quickly add is Glitch, in case you ever come across this guy. He is a very low danger level. He's inconsistent in spawning because he can only spawn if the generation of the rooms or doors are messed up slightly. In which case, he will jump scare the player, reload the rooms that were previously loaded, and teleport the player into the next room in an attempt to fix whatever caused a odd generation to occur, such as rooms overlapping. He can appear in any of the locations. He has no warning sign, and glitch cannot hurt the player because they're a built-in failsafe. Thank you everyone for watching. This has been one of my longer videos, I believe. I've gone through every single entity. Comment which one below you think, or comment below which ones you think were more or less dangerous than I decided. Tell me if there's any tips or tricks I might have missed. Like and subscribe. Maybe we can get to 400 subscribers. Who knows? And I'll see you all next video.